Hello everyone, welcome back to the second video of my Season 11 playoff journey, and in this game we are going to go against AutomatA. So AutomatA has been here for a very long time, since the beginning, as you can see here on Season 1, but he hasn't really been able to do much in playoffs except for in Season 6 where he managed to break into the so-called final stage, and Season 4 where he made it past the first stage. Beyond that, he's mostly 256-128, so yeah, that's his track record. So he's been around for a very long time, and I think he's pretty decent. But I think, maybe sometimes in his playstyle he's not as careful, or he makes a bit of mistakes, I guess. So let's look at the game. So immediately, if you take a look at his box, you see a shit ton of tanks, because other than the triple Hilda, Landius and Christian, there's an additional SP led in here. But he runs only Liana and Rosen with a sub-healer of Miranda, and the rest of it is DPS. He has an Oboro here, he has Ashma, he has Assassins in Die Hard, Pepsi and Lostham. So no Werner, no Cherry. And then he has the usual Lucretia, Webham, IBC. I think these three, you can't really play a game without these three together unless you're playing something very specific. So yeah, he has two mages here, which is not very common nowadays, which is Miranda and Ashama. So frankly, I don't even know Ashama's faction. I think she's like Origin Princess or like something. I don't even know her faction. I just roughly know what she does, which is a, it's a 5-range mage that has a repositioning ability and like a command on her talent. That's all I know about her. First ban Oboro because I don't want to deal with this shit behind 4 tanks. I don't want to put myself on a timer to get things done. And I just open right up with Werner. It's one of the best answers to tank this sort of tank push. There's a sort of tank push where Werner is actually not the best answer, in that everything has like very high defense, and Werner might not be the best answer, although I think it's still right up there. You just need to buff him up enough. And in response, he takes out Oboro and Elwin. So Oboro, I get it because 4 tank box, but Elwin is kind of odd because if you're running this many tanks, I think you shouldn't be too scared of like 1 tank buster. Like if I pick Elwin, you can proceed to ban out like Wetham and Azusa if you really want. Like you shouldn't be scared of 1 Elwin, I think. And the only reason I can think of is that he buffs Werner. But other than that, I'm not too sure about the Elwin. Like it's a follow-up buff for Tejas and Cherry, but it's a bit early, I think. And he opens up with Liana because he only has 2 healers, so he's gonna secure one of them first. And I go right back to Lucretia and Wetham. At this point, I don't care about the tanks. I just want to choke out his DPS. I go for Pepsi to follow up, buff Werner and a second assassin. Hilda and Diehard gets taken out. I also don't know about the Hilda because you have 1, 2, 3 assassins left, and I know you have like a bunch of mages, but these mages can technically AoE other than IBC, which is more of a support anyway. So Hilda ban is also a little bit weird here, I would say. He goes for IBC. So if you watch the first game versus Mume, I mentioned why second pick IBC is not as threatening for this kind of box, because by the time you pick IBC, I'm gonna ban out another 2 DPS, so you have lost a total of 4 high tier DPS to go with your IBC, as we can see here soon. I ban out the 2 mages that can technically AoE because I don't plan to play for sustain at all, and I just don't want to deal with it. I'm okay with dealing with 1 Lostham because Lostham's kinda ass on this map, and I'm also okay with dealing with 1 Pepsi with IBC. Go for Tejas here, teleport support for my bunch of assassins. Very straightforward. I lose my Autocrato and Sherry here, and he goes for Lostham. So the thing about Lostham IBC on this map is, I'm gonna talk about this a bit more later, but it's not as great on this kind of like bad Lostham map. And I just ban out the last 2 DPS, I think here, Pepsi and Diehard. And I pick up my own Lostham because it's the last assassin available, so I'm just gonna pick it up. Bans out Rosen and Wetham, so no more sustain for me, and I really don't know about the Lostham. Like you have a Liana and you have 2 tanks pretty much. So I feel like Wet Ham actually doesn't do anything here, other than the fact that it might be a bit hard for the Lostham to kill. I ban out another 2 tanks, and then I pick up Langrisser for the CD reduction. I think Langrisser 5th pick, like no matter what you're playing against, is gonna bring value just from the puppet alone. And you know, similar to last game, I don't go for AutomatA because I don't plan on interacting with their tanks at all. And it goes for let in, so no double healer, and he goes for let in as like a sort of half DPS. And it's just gonna be a bit of setup because I want to see if I can bait him to coming to my side to trade. Because it's very hard for Lostham to retreat on this map. Like you will literally need to go from this one singular tree here, then you hit something from here, and then you go another 2 blocks and then you retreat here. So, and it's not even that far back. So if I can make him come to me, I think I'm gonna be in a good spot. And he is also taking his time to set up his buffs. So we're gonna Bing chilling for a bit here. We trade our terrains on Lostham, and here will be what I wanted to talk about my point during the draft, is that on this map, no matter how hard you buff your Lostham, it doesn't matter to an extent because you will always be hooking onto this terrain. So you can give him 10 mobility and he will still hook here unless you know he can reach like someone like near the middle here, which is not going to happen for another few turns. So this IBC Lostham isn't as scary on this type of map because you always know where the Lostham is going to, and his range will always be 2 blocks from here and then 3 blocks. So you can always kind of count, it will be like these 3 blocks and then this diagonal. So yeah. At this point I'm kind of just tenure fishing, and then the Hilda comes in front and slaps the tower down. And I accept that invitation and try to go for like 1 life of Hilda, but sadly it does not, you know, take 1 life even though I dropped the end death. Which is a bit surprising for me. I thought Royal Cavalries would just straight up get murdered by mages, but apparently the blood pack HP on her main hero is enough to stop that from happening. But no worries, we just swap back into position and you know, move on. Okay, so the Lostham walked into my range, kind of, my teleport range. So I decided to just go for it. He heals up the tank to a healthy amount, and I take my Lostham kill. So I know I said I wanted him to come to my side, but if I can trade the Lostham, I don't mind. Because Lostham is the one that can hit and run. I'm not as scared of the IBC. Which, if he uses the IBC to kill my Werner and don't clock, I think I'm, you know, I have a very strong advantage because IBC's skill is like 5 turns cooldown and it won't be coming back anytime soon. And I get like at least 3 turns to do anything I want, even if you account for the aggregate. He takes the kill and he does not take the clock. So that's good news for me, and I get to do kind of anything I want now. TJS won't be ready until next turn, so I just move her first. And his IBC just retreats and puts up the defensive formation because he knows he has to survive the next few turns. And there's no one worth buffing on the mobility side anyway, so it's not like the Ledin's gonna run into me. And I just respond with my Pepsi, just moving in the middle, getting ready for the next turn. And mass attack to get ready to pressure. He acts again, not sure why, because that's like 1 cooldown that the IBC is not going to get. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think I thought of a reason during the game, but it was probably like he didn't want to guard his backline with Ledin or something like that. Or he wanted to pressure my units from this spot. Yeah, I think he wanted to block my Pepsi. That was probably why. I free strike and I do a similar amount of 3C, even though the multiplier is slightly lower. But I guess maybe because it's counteracted by the defensive formation on the troops, extra def and M def. So the damage comes out to be roughly about the same actually. just refresh my Stepsy, try and get his faction buff back sooner if the game doesn't close out by then. Yeah, I decided to wait one more turn to rebuff. Then TJS will finish off the turn with an attack. So I teleport back and I'm able to attack from this position, which the IBC cannot reach with her last turn of mobility. As you can see right here, and I take 1 life off the Hilda finally. Yeah, it's just barely out of range of the Hilda, the IBC. So she's forced to just move and heal with the Lana 3C. And then I finish off the Hilda with my 3C that has come off cooldown. Ladin hooks my TJS, but with the 3C shield I'm nowhere near dying. My Ladin can't even go through my troops. He didn't even finish killing off my troops with a 3C. So Ladin with Redeemers just straight up won't kill much. You need an offensive troop on Ladin for the 3C to kill, I think, if not an offensive enchant as well. And because I proc Breeze on my TJS, I just move back and heal with Goyle. Nothing ever happened. So here, I think I had a bit of brain freeze. I threw in my Lostham and I tried to stun the Liana. So I think I haven't played against Liana in a while, and I forgot that her 3C gives immunity to herself. So I was better off just stunning the Ladin and then guarantee that I finish off the IBC with my 3 DPS the next turn. But you know, I need to make the game a bit more exciting, so I do that instead. But I saw this and I saw that the Senseis were disabled, and even though he still had Gospel on this, I decided to take my chances because I still have 1 more attack the next turn. I go for the hit on IBC and I collect a kill. No funny Tenyo dispels happening here, and that will mark the end of this game actually. So yeah, just gonna play this out. So for this game, I think him gifting me the trade on the Lostham basically set everything downhill, because Lostham is the best unit for him to protect actually. Because as you can see, once IBC commits a skill to kill and she doesn't clock, I get like a bunch of free turns to do whatever I want, and that was enough time for me to end his game. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, see you guys in the next game.